Medicine and politics, two things that you should never mix. One is based on science, the other is based on sentiment and power. So it's important to separate the two. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done. Here in India, a big showdown is unfolding. Over what? The Covishield vaccine. It was developed by a British pharma company called AstraZeneca. And what's the controversy? Around 51 lawsuits have been filed against this company, this vaccine in the UK. They say the vaccine is defective. It has caused serious injury and death. Now, AstraZeneca has denied these charges, but they did admit one thing. Their vaccine can cause blood clots in very rare cases. And cue political showdown. Pharma giants are trending on social media. Many users are questioning the government of India. They're asking, why was this vaccine approved? Who will be held accountable? One of the hashtags is this, hashtag arrest Narendra Modi. It's got tens of thousands of tweets and comments. Opposition parties have jumped on. They're pointing fingers at the government. But does this outrage make sense? What does the science say? Let's take a closer look. In India, AstraZeneca was licensed by the Serum Institute. They called it Covishield. It's not clear how many Indians got this vaccine, but we can make a calculated guess. India has administered around 220 crore doses. Close to 80% of these are said to be Covishield. Now, if you do the math, that's around 176 crore doses. Now, each person got 2 shots, so more than 80 crore Indians may have got Covishield, which is 800 million people. Should these people be worried about blood clots? The short answer is no. But this social media debate, devoid of facts and driven by politics, is dangerous. So let us bust the myths one by one. First of all, did AstraZeneca hide this? The answer is they did not. Take a look at Covishield's packaging insert. It clearly mentions the clot risk. Apparently, it was observed in very rare cases. How rare? Less than 1 in 100,000 cases. So the risk of blood clots was not hidden. It was very much in public domain. Secondly, is this risk serious? Again, let's look at the numbers. A UK study in 2022 looked at 46 million adults. And what did they find? The risk of clots was very low, less than 3 cases per million. In fact, the virus is way more serious than the vaccine. It puts you at a far greater risk of blood clotting, not the vaccine. So the benefits clearly outweigh the risk. But tell that to the Antivaxers. They're jumping onto this controversy. They're using it to discredit the COVID vaccine. But guess what? Many other vaccines have the same risks. The influenza vaccine, the H1N1 vaccine, even the rabies vaccine, all of them are linked to the same risk of blood clots. Should we then stop taking all of them? The answer is obvious. None of the vaccine makers claimed that their shot was perfect. They admitted it was not 100% effective. They also admitted the side effects. And so did the governments. Also, approving vaccines was never a political decision. It was taken in consultation with doctors and scientists, and India followed the same process. All vaccines were approved by the CDSCO, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, so it is important to get the facts right. Yes, AstraZeneca has a rare side effect. Yes, that side effect can be deadly, but it's not some hidden conspiracy. The risk from COVID is still bigger and far bigger than the risk from vaccines. Do not let anti-vaxxers tell you otherwise. Having said that, could things have been handled better? Could the conversation around shots have been different? In hindsight, perhaps yes. Pharma companies could have talked about a little more about the side effects. Governments could have raised awareness. But all of this is easy to say now. Back then, things were very different. Thousands of people were dying every day. So the priority was saving lives. Everything else came second. And do not get us wrong, this does not mean that Big Pharma is the knight in shining armor. They did what they did for money. Take Pfizer, for example. They made more than $100 billion in revenue in 2022, $100 billion. Around 57 billion of this came from COVID drugs. That's vaccines plus the antiviral. Compare that to their total revenue before the pandemic. It was less than 57 billion. So big pharma did profit from the pandemic. The top companies made around $90 billion in profits. Pfizer alone made 35 billion. Biotech and Moderna 20 billion each. And China's Sinovac made $15 billion. You can question those windfall profits. You can ask why the vaccines were overcharged. But I'm afraid the side effect conversation is dangerous territory. The headlines do not capture the finer details. What they do is fuel vaccine hesitancy. After 3 bad years and millions of deaths, we should know better.